Madam, suspension of Simla agreement, how will it affect Pakistan? What does it mean for Indians? What does it mean for our military, defense?
Well, let me say first and foremost that the Simla agreement is a imperfect agreement, a totally imperfect agreement. And it was violated where the ink had hardly dried on the agreement when it was violated by Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, because the bilateral clause, the clause about bilateralism, has been used very strongly by India to prevent any third party intervention in the settlement or discussions on Kashmir. And this is fine. This is the one of the issues that I think India has used to the maximum. But the issue of bilateralism, of not discussing Kashmir internationally, has been observed by India, but not by Pakistan. They have gone full steam ahead all these decades, while we have, refrained from discussing the Kashmir issue internationally. We have said we are only going to solve it bilaterally. But Pakistan has, from day one, absolutely gone hammer and tongs and continued its discussions with international community to create a lot of ill will against India, to create the feeling that India is the one who is at fault in Jammu and Kashmir, and that the Pakistanis must be allowed to have some kind of intervention in Jammu and Kashmir. If you want to know, actually, I was in Shimla in 1972 when this agreement was signed. And so I'm fully aware of the ways and the manner in which this agreement was actually not being signed at all. But the way in which it was, a question of giving up the territory and keeping the 93,000 prisoners. The 93,000 prisoners was a very, very bad choice. Because who is going to look after 93,000 prisoners? Anybody has a cough or a cold, you go to the Red Cross claiming poor treatment by the Indian side, claiming inadequate food, claiming inadequate shelter, etc., etc., etc. And in the end, we had to send back those prisoners. So having taken the decision to keep the prisoners and give back the land, it was a very bad choice. We then, had to give back the prisoners as well. And all the senior generals of the Pakistan army, who were supposed to be tried when they went back, they were given back to Pakistan and they were supposed to be tried for genocide, for the genocidal attack on the Bangladeshis. They were never tried. They got away scot-free. So I think all these years, decades, we have lived with an agreement that is an inadequate agreement. It should never have been signed, and we have made the best of it only from the point of view of bilateralism. And if now the Bangladesh, the Pakistan government decides to keep it in abeyance, well, it means that the LoC is now open once again. The same LoC on which we held all that territory, but gave back to Pakistan. Now you see, you're back there to square one. So I think that and as far as the bilateral factor is concerned, India has benefited, yes, from that, because you've not allowed anybody to come in. But Pakistan has violated it absolutely shamelessly, without any
Okay,
adequate. And then,
before I go to Rami and General Asthana, you said you were there. Very quickly, why did we sign it? I mean, say if it was unfair, not to India's advantage, why did we sign it? Why did we give so much of land away?
let me tell you, it was not going to be signed. It was not going to be signed. The talks had completely broken down. And in fact, all the leaders had left. DP Dhar was in hospital. He was not well right from the first day. TN Kaul, the foreign secretary, had left. He had left Shimla because it was known that the talks had completely broken down and there was going to be no agreement, no outcome at all. But Zulfikar Ali Bhutto had other plans. He hosted a return banquet that same evening. And in the course of that banquet, we were all sitting way down the table. We were all on our main dish and they had already finished their coffee. And suddenly they decided, the two leaders among themselves, let's have another round of talks. At that time, there were only two of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's aides there at the moment, who were there in those talks late at night. These were Mr. P.N. Dhar and Mr. P.N. Haksar. They were the only ones who were there. There was nobody else in those talks. And a lot of these talks were private. And I can tell you that Bhutto actually convinced Prime Minister Indira Gandhi to sign the agreement, and said that, I will, assure you that I will criticize you in Pakistan, but globally, I won't criticize you. And we were wanting to get the LoC as the border. Well, he said, "Oh, I'll go back. I can't do it now, but I'll go back and I'll assure you I'll do it, etc." Of course, he didn't do anything of the kind. And the LoC has remained contentious since then. And the Pakistanis, let me tell you that the Pakistani delegation knew what they were after. They knew what they were after. I was at that summit. I was there in my capacity as the Ministry of External Affairs appointed a liaison officer with Benazir Bhutto. We spent 5 days together at that time. And the next morning, because at about midnight, we all left, 11:30, something, 12, we left. And the next morning, Benazir tells me that, we knew something was going to happen. And we had decided that if we get what we want, हम कहेंगे लड़का हुआ है. So बता रही थी कि 12:30-1 बजे, everybody in the house, it was Himachal Bhavan where this was signed, everybody was running around saying लड़का हुआ है, लड़का हुआ है, लड़का हुआ है. They were so delighted with this Shimla agreement at that time. And for us, many of us have not been happy with it since that date. I can tell you. So today, if the Pakistan government is saying that they are going to put it in abeyance, well, so be it.
This is India's #1 news network, and you're watching News9, English news as it should be.